The title says it all. Dust off those vocal cords because today we're going to be discussing the benefits of reading your writing aloud. But Leighton, you say, why would I have to read my writing aloud? Isn't the whole point of reading that it's done silently? To that I say, tell that to the audiobook listeners out there. No, but seriously, the advice I have to give you today has nothing to do with whether your book will be read aloud someday or not, which it totally will. It has to do with making your book the best it can be. That may also seem confusing though. Like, how could reading a manuscript aloud make it better? Well, it actually helps in a few ways. Allow me to enlighten you. First, it clues you into how your novel's language flows. As you're reading aloud, you'll be 2,000 times more aware of any awkwardly phrased lines, and you'll be able to get a sense of the rhythm of your writing. For example, when reading your manuscript silently, those 5 sentences in a row that consist of 7 words each may not even register. But when you're reading aloud, the odds are better that you'll realize that the rhythm is starting to get monotonous. And then you'll be able to pinpoint the problem and shake things up with shorter and longer sentences. Second, repeated words and phrases will stand out to you more. As humans, we can sometimes become fixated on certain things. I'm especially guilty of this. Once I hear a word or phrase I like, I will use it until that well runs dry. In high school, I had this problem with the word juxtapose. I used it everywhere. The thing is, I didn't realize I was using it everywhere. But if I had read my essays and writing aloud back then, it would have stood out like a sore thumb. And I would have been able to exchange a few of the juxtaposes with some compares and contrasts. And in case you're wondering why it matters if you use the same word or phrase a lot, here's the long and short of it. Word repetition just sounds clunky and lazy to a reader. The general rule is that common words, like the, and, had, my, it, etc., can be repeated without someone noticing. But more complex words and any phrases should be used sparingly and interchanged with synonyms whenever possible. So keep those ears peeled for any repeated words when you're reading your manuscript aloud. Okay guys, this is exciting. I actually have a live example of how reading your work aloud can help you catch repeated words, because I was reading example number 4 and found the phrase stood out like a sore thumb again. I used it twice in the script, which is a no-no, so I'm going to change it. But you see, here's an example. Reading it aloud, I remembered that I had read it previously and that I had said it previously, and then when I hit it this time, I was like, oh my gosh. I said that twice, so real life example, I'm not bullshitting ya. Third, it gives you a better idea of your narrative voice and or the voice of the first person narrator. When writing in your own voice, you want the narration to sound like you. And when you're writing in a character's voice, you want the narration to sound like your character. As it turns out, this is easier said than done. A lot of the time, novice writers fall into the trap of writing awkwardly, for lack of a better term. They don't use contractions, their language is stiff, there's just nothing to the narration. And if a writer doesn't read their writing aloud, it's going to stay that way. If they read their writing aloud though, there's a much greater chance that they'll hear the awkward stiffness and then they can work on correcting that. On a related note, if you'd like me to make a video in the future about writing voice, let me know in the comments below. Fourth, it makes it easier to notice grammatical errors. When you're reading your writing silently, you tend to skim. I mean, odds are you know your story inside and out, so skimming is only natural. The problem with this is that you can't catch errors when your eyes are flying over the words faster than your brain can comprehend any of what you're reading. When you read your work aloud, however, it forces you to slow down and actually read. When you do this, many of your grammatical and punctuation errors will be pretty obvious. They'll make you stumble, trip over the awkward phrasing or oddly placed comma. For me personally, my biggest punctuation sin is accidentally putting a period where a question mark should go. Reading aloud helps me to spot those moments and correct them without anyone else having to point them out to me. Fifth, your dialogue will improve tremendously. It's kind of like the voice thing I mentioned earlier. Many authors really struggle with writing realistic dialogue, and it's because they allow it to become stiff and awkward. Reading the dialogue aloud, however, is the perfect cure. Doing so will help you recognize all of the parts that feel not so realistic. Then you can work toward writing something more true to life. Sometimes I speak my dialogue aloud before I even write it down so that I can make sure it sounds the way I wanted it to. And if you take my advice and find that reading your writing aloud really does help to improve your writing, then I've got a challenge for you to take it one step further. Have someone else read your writing aloud for you. Or at the very least, record yourself reading it aloud and then listen back to the recording. Trust me, reading aloud to yourself is one thing, but listening to someone else read your writing to you is enlightening. You'll be able to hear all of these things that I've talked about in this video, especially if you recruit a friend to help you out and don't just record yourself. This is because your friend won't know the nuances of your story like you do. So with someone else reading for you, you'll hear how your reader will perceive things instead of how you, the author, perceive them. It's like a beta reader for your ears. This, of course, is not as necessary as reading your own writing aloud, but it will make your book even better if you do follow through with it. The most important thing to take from this video, though, is to take the time to make your book the best it can be. Dust off those vocal cords and really put in some time to tidy up your story. Trust me, you won't regret it. And that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe button, and make sure to check me out on social media. I have Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram, all linked in the description below. Also, if you have any recommendations for topics I should cover in these Let's Talk About Writing videos, you can send me a tweet, a Tumblr ask, or you can leave a comment down below. Also, please make sure to check out my blog, readwritelovefiction.com, and my official author website, leightonjwilliams.com. Both have awesome content, including the corresponding blog post to this video, so if you're interested in that, go check it out. And finally, thank you guys again so much for watching this video. I hope you have a beautiful day. I hope you go out and read your manuscript aloud, and I'll see you next time. Bye!